You're pretty high up here, aren't you?
Yes.
Already.
So our flood floor level is 13.3 metres.
Which you would have thought would have kept you safe.
Definitely, we thought we were safe, yeah.
Like most people living in Lismore, Kate Stroud has experienced floods. She considered herself flood aware and her house flood safe. And on Sunday, the 27th of February, she didn't think she had reason to panic.
As the rain kept falling in the lead up to the big flood event, what was going through your mind? Were you worried at all?
We were heavily watching the radar constantly. And I guess we were anticipating a flood, but just not what we experienced.
For days, as rain belted Lismore and the surrounding area, there was a steady stream of warnings from the Bureau of Meteorology and the State Emergency Service. But they failed to correctly predict how big the flood was or how soon it would hit.
If I had any inkling or knowing at that time that it would have come into our house, then we just would have responded in a different way.
At 4:08 on Sunday afternoon, the advice was to expect a much smaller and manageable flood of 10.6 metres the following day. By 8:48 p.m, the forecast was for the river to rise to 11.5 metres, but not breach the levee until 6 a.m. Just after 10 p.m, flood evacuation orders were posted on Facebook, but many were asleep by then, including the Mayor, Steve Krieg, and his family.
We followed all the advice that you're given, the SES and the Bureau of Meteorology. We went to bed that night at around 10:30, still thinking that we had another 14 odd hours.
Did you get any actual direct warning from SES or any other personnel?
Yeah, so it was roughly 11:30 on the Sunday evening, and there was a knock at the door, and an SES person came to our door and checked to see if we were aware that the levee was going to overtop, said to us that it was going to happen at 6 a.m, that to expect water at our gate at roughly 12:30 the next day. Asked to see that if we had supplies and if that we were okay, and he then left.
Did you get any advice from that person about evacuating or staying?
Yes, he said to us that you will be safe here, given the height of your floor.
Evacuate now before all evacuation routes are closed. You need to evacuate.
At 12:43 a.m, the advice changed dramatically, and Kate and other Lismore residents received a text message with an urgent call to evacuate, with the dire warning that risk to life was imminent.
By then, it's not an option. You can't, and it's pitch black. You're not going to swim in floodwaters at night time.
They'd be far too dangerous.
Absolutely, yeah.
By 3:08 a.m, the levee was about to overtop, and those in Lismore were urged to seek higher ground. But by then, it was too late.
My phone started ringing at about 3:30, 4 o'clock Monday morning with very distressed Lismore residents asking for help. Not asking for help, demanding help. And that's when I knew we were in a bit of trouble.
The warnings didn't adequately prepare the town for what was coming, and the deluge hit Lismore hours before expected, with the river peaking more than 2 metres higher than predicted.
It seemed to be, we'll be all right until midday Monday, and then it wasn't until people were getting woken up in their beds with water rising so quickly that panic stations set in, and that's why we got 4,000 rescues that day from 250 odd civilian people out in their own private boats.
Did you try to contact the SES to be rescued?
Once the water had risen and we had taken refuge in the roof cavity, I did phone SES to lodge a rescue. I wasn't able to get through to them. I called 000 and I wasn't able to get through to them. My partner called 000 and did get through. They logged our call, but he didn't get off the call feeling very reassured. They couldn't tell him when they would come, what we should do. He asked, he asked for advice. What should we do? And she said, I can't tell you what to do. You just need to wait.
Kate and her partner spent 6 hours in their roof cavity before being rescued by a civilian on a jet ski.
There was a level of feeling abandoned by emergency services. There is definitely a flaw in whatever system that they are using to report, to give us up-to-date and accurate information that is vital for people to be able to respond and, has been fatal in this case.
A state government inquiry has been launched into the emergency warning and response in Lismore. And pending its finding, both the SES and the Bureau of Meteorology have refused to be interviewed. But maddeningly, for those caught in the flood, there had been early warning of a phenomenal amount of water coming their way from upstream.
But you're at the top of the creek,
I'm at the top of the creek.
and there's nowhere else for the water to go.
There's only one place it can go, and that's down to Lismore.
High in the hills above Lismore, Patrick Tatum's property is like a moat, surrounded by waters from 4 tributaries. On Sunday the 27th of February, after 5 days of soaking rain, he watched the rising creeks with trepidation, knowing Lismore was in trouble.
Are you worried about it at this point?
Well, at this stage, yes, I am worried about it, mainly because we had rain for 5 days, heavy rain. And so I knew that this was a lot of water heading down to Lismore, and my concern was for those people down there who hadn't, I thought, been given sufficient warning of what was to hit them.
Patrick is like the canary in the coal mine. Along with other upstream locals, he has an agreement to alert the SES when he experiences flooding. As the creeks continued to rise and the rain wouldn't let up, Patrick called the local SES twice, at 6:43 p.m. and again at 7:03 p.m.
I'd already rung SES, already told them the paddock was well underwater, and it was storm waves, if you like, flood waves, that were rolling across the paddock, and the rain was increasing in intensity.
You clearly had a sense of urgency about you. Did you feel that was reciprocated?
At that time, I feel that they could have basically put their decision-making process and hats on and warned the people in Lismore before they'd gone to bed.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.